You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, y'all. Yesterday on Meet the Press, talk about one idiot, Senator Ted Cruz. Y'all, do y'all understand how this man, how Donald Trump just made up stuff about this man and his wife and his daddy, and this fool still support him? Man, roll the tape.
Do you believe Ukraine meddled in the American election in 2016?
I do, and I think there's considerable evidence.
You do? You do?
Yes, and Chuck, let me say.
This is, Senator, this sort of strikes me as odd, because you went through a primary campaign with this president. He launched a birtherism campaign against you. He went after your faith. He threatened to, quote, spill the beans about your wife about something. He pushed a National Enquirer story, which we now know he had a real relationship
Chuck,
with the editors
your
of the National Enquirer.
dragging up all that garbage.
Senator,
that's very kind of you.
Let me ask you this. Is it not possible that this president is capable of creating a false narrative about somebody in order to help him politically?
Except that's not what happened. The president released the transcript of the phone call. You can read what was said on the phone call.
Yeah, and the Bidens.
Let me point out again.
And you yourself thought the Biden part was troubling.
Chuck, let me point out a game that the media is playing. You know, a question that you've asked a number of people is you've said to senators sort of aghast, do you believe that Ukraine and not Russia interfered in the election? Now that in a court of law would be struck as a misleading question. Of course Russia interfered in our election. Nobody looking at the evidence disputes that.
The president of the United States does.
Look, on the evidence, Russia clearly interfered in our election. But here's the game the media is playing. Because Russia interfered, the media pretends nobody else did. Ukraine blatantly interfered in our election. The sitting ambassador from Ukraine wrote an op-ed blasting Donald Trump during the election season.
Do you know why he did that?
That is unusual.
What did Donald Trump as a candidate say about Ukraine and Crimea during the election that might have inspired the ambassador?
So you're saying they had disagreements with Donald Trump and they wanted Hillary Clinton to get elected.
Okay, so they wrote an op-ed.
A Ukrainian parliamentarian.
That is the difference. What you're saying is you're saying a pickpocket, which essentially is a Hill op-ed, compared to Bernie Madoff and Vladimir Putin.
All right, y'all. Joining us right now is Terrell Starr, of course, a Russian-Ukrainian expert with TheRoot.com. Yes, a black Russian-Ukrainian expert. Terrell, how you doing?
It's all good. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. First of all, for the black folks who don't know, how many times have you traveled to Russia and Ukraine to make you an expert? Just because somebody watching like, how in the hell he's sitting there an expert?
Well, I have a master's degree from University of Illinois, where I was in Russian East European Studies. First black person to get a master's degree. Then I have a master's degree in journalism that focused on Eastern European affairs. Back and forth to the region. I primarily go to Ukraine. I go an average of 4 times per year, and I will be in Kiev next Monday, as a matter of fact.
Well, again, y'all, I'm talking about when I say he's there, trust me, he's there. Always hanging out there, and so the Ukrainians love him. So let's talk about this whole deal, man. you know. First of all, ain't many bros in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah.
Nigerians, though, plenty of Nigerians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
All right. Well, at least you got some company. So. You got some company when you there.
So absolutely, I have the blackest parties in my apartment. I'm downtown. You can come visit me if you want to.
Now the Nigerians love when you come back, huh? So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. First of all, man, look. Intelligence community. All of these people have said, y'all, you're falling for the Putin Okie-Doke. Are you even embarrassed to see these idiotic Republicans advancing this whole deal that Ukraine was involved in this election? How hilarious is it to watch folks like Ted Cruz and Senator John Kennedy make fools of themselves?
I was trying to think about how I was going to respond to this, because there's so many angles of what's wrong and what's screwed up about this. But the irony of Ted Cruz making this false allegation about Ukrainian interference is that there was one point where Eastern European countries, former communist bloc countries, i.e., former Czechoslovakia, which is composed of, Serbia and Albania, and then you have the former Soviet blocs like Georgia and Ukraine, and a number of other nations that were part of that 15-unit bloc. They can rely on Republicans to be the party that was tough on Russia. That is what they were known for. The zenith of that really occurred during the Ronald Reagan presidency, when he stared down Gorbachev and when he made that famous speech of "tear down this wall." So he was through Reagan, the Republicans were the epitome of the party that would be the protectorate of these states once they broke free of communists and Soviet bloc leadership. Now, going back to Ted Cruz, he's specifically talking about a column by former Ambassador Vitaly, thinking about his name is Vitaly Chali. And the reason why he wrote that column was because Trump said that, I would recognize Crimea, which Russia annexed, as part of Russia, not Ukraine. Mm-hmm. He also said that he would consider dropping the sanctions, which prompted, rightfully so, the ambassador to America the Ukrainian ambassador to America saying, excuse me, are you literally telling us that you are going to sit by, our number one ally, to say that it's okay that Putin literally illegally annexed our country, and you're going to drop the sanctions that Obama dropped, which forced the Russian economy to contract by more than 2+%. So that's what he's talking about. So ultimately, the Republicans and Ted Cruz are gathering their evidence and their so-called witnesses via Rudy Giuliani from the same place that Trump gets his presidential appointees, from the bottom of the barrel, from the bottom of the garbage disposal, because that's how useful the evidence is. Because when you go to Ukraine, I have people talk to me about Trump once we go off record, and I obviously wouldn't say who these people are, but they look at me and they say, "Terrell, what's going on over there?" Or they'll say, "Terrell, did you look at what your president said next?" And to be quite honest with you, they catch me off guard. I say, "I don't know." And then it's something else that he said. So basically in the Ukrainian Rada, he is perceived as a joke. And so are the people that Rudy Giuliani are using as his witnesses in this sham documentary that he's creating when he goes over there.
Well, it's absolutely nuts. Not only that, again, Ukraine expected the United States to be friends, but they now know what's going on here. I mean, they know that Donald Trump will sell them out. Whatever Putin wants, he gets. Yeah. And they literally are parroting Soviet intelligence talking points. Yeah. Literally.
It is. And so here's the irony of this, Roland, and everyone needs to recognize this. And Joe Biden actually needs to do more speaking up for himself in this particular regard. Joe Biden was former President Barack Obama's envoy to Kiev during the tail end of Obama's second term in office. And the charges of Ukraine being a corrupt nation in regards to financing, listen, it's all true. The country has been known to leak foreign aid like a sieve. That's what we do know. What's also true is that anti-corruption activists have been working for years, for the past 20 years, to hold their government accountable. In fact, the country, in the span of 10 years, has had two revolutions: the Orange Revolution, which I was right across from in Georgia after the Rose Revolution that happened there, and then also you have this Euromaidan that prompted the war that's in eastern Ukraine to this day. Joe Biden was the envoy that Obama sent to speak to the Ukrainian Rada and demanded that they work and that they improve on measures that would curb corruption. And they responded, along with the West, along with other Western countries, because it wasn't just Joe Biden. It was also the It was also the anti-corruption activists that were on the ground there, and I know some of them. They pushed their government. And so Joe Biden also was considered to be the person to crack the whip on NATO countries to say, hey, we need to increase these sanctions or push them harder, because it's not just America's side that works. Ultimately, if you don't have the European Union, if you don't have Brussels in cooperation, then singular U.S. sanctions are not going to be as effective. So it was Joe Biden that's largely given credit for that. That's the irony in all of this. He's creating a lie that the Bidens actually were manipulating, trying to use Ukraine as a proxy to work against Trump. But listen, prior, in the midst of all of this, it was Joe Biden that was actually working on serious democracy building. That's his reputation there, not the lies that Senator Ted Cruz is discussing.
All right, then. Well, Terrell, man, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. And we'll definitely come back to you when, these hearings keep going on and we keep hearing crazy stuff about the GOP.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Anytime.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. As the marijuana momentum continues, our good friends at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. If you want to take advantage of the great opportunity, you need to do it now because it won't last much longer. Of course, I'm talking about the hemp plant, the good cousin to marijuana, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Also, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the United States, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. Folks, it's an opportunity for you to invest. And that's where the folks at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and leases it to licensed high-paying tenants. They're essentially hemp CBD landlords, so you could get in on the action. Now, hemp continues to change the economic landscape. 420 Real Estate is allowing you to chase the American dream. You can invest as little as $200 up to $10,000 as part of their crowdfunding campaign. And you must do it, of course, before the fund is closed. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.